My father sold me when I was 8. He signed papers that let doctors cut me open. For cash. 15 years later, he's dying in my hospital, and I just took his name off the transplant list. This is the story of how I let my father. The lights were too bright. Too cold. I've been staring at screens for 3 hours. When Lila slid the tablet across my desk. Next patient, she said. Male. Late-stage heart and kidney failure. Families asking for priority clearance. I didn't even look up at first. Just another name in the system. Then I saw it. Daniel Reyes. My thumb froze above the approve button. I tapped the screen. The photo loaded. Older. Thinner. Eyes sunken. But I knew those eyes. I'd seen them every night for 15 years. Staring down at an 8-year-old boy while he signed the papers that sold him. My father. The scar on my ribs burned like it was brand new. I stood up slowly. Deny priority clearance, I said. Lila's head snapped up. Dr. Voss, you're denying him? His vitals are crashing. That drops him straight to the general ward. No special meds. Nothing. I know exactly what it does. My voice didn't shake. Not even a little. Deny it. She stared at me for half a second, then nodded. She always did what I told her. Because in this hospital, I was the one who decided who lived and who waited. I created the rules. I controlled the system. And tonight, the system was going to kill my father. He doesn't know who I am. He doesn't remember the little boy he sold to this exact hospital 15 years ago. But I remember, and I'm going to make sure he dies, knowing exactly who signed his death warrant. I didn't sit back down. The rage was already burning too hot. Bring me the full archive, I told Lila. Every buried record. Guardian authorizations. Payment logs. Everything connected to Daniel Reyes. Lila nodded without question. Her fingers flew across her terminal. She'd worked with me for 6 years. Sharp, efficient, loyal. And she knew when I used that tone, there was no room for delay. The system unlocked layer by layer. With my master credentials, security walls peeled away. Like old bandages on a wound that had never stopped bleeding. I stepped closer to the large wall screen. Heart hammering so hard I could feel it in the scar beneath my ribs. There it was. Guardian authorization. Minor subject enrollment. Timestamp. 15 years ago. Subject. Adrian Reyes, age 8. Procedure. Segmental extraction. Left kidney. Portion of liver. Classified, non letal. Compensation to Guardian. $87,000. Lila's eyes widened. Doctor, this is a child's file. An 8-year-old boy. His own guardian signed him over for organ extraction. She stared at the screen, her professional mask cracking. Who would do something like this? Do you know this case? I didn't look away from the screen. Enough to forget I ever existed. I scrolled slowly. Each line felt like a scalpel reopening old cuts. Sedation approved. No follow-up care mandated. No visitation rights required. Guardian waived all future contact. Lila's breath caught. How much did he get for selling child? Enough, I said. The word tasted like ash. Any visitation records since admission? None. Of course. He never came back. Current status of the patient? Still prepped and waiting in pre-op, Dr. Voss. I closed the file with a soft tap. Hold the surgery. Move him to general ward. No exceptions. No priority of any kind. Lila hesitated, not out of disobedience, but loyalty. She didn't know the full truth yet. She didn't know the boy in that file had grown up to become the man standing in front of her. But she could feel the weight in the air. Understood, she said quietly, already typing the orders. I stood there a moment longer, staring at the now dark screen. The decision was already made, but the full weight of what I was about to do was only just beginning to settle. And suddenly the present dissolved. The hospital walls blurred. The soft glow of the monitors faded. I was 8 years old again. Small, trusting, walking through these exact same automatic doors. 15 years ago, I could still feel his rough, warm hand holding my small one tightly. As we stepped inside the brightly lit lobby, the smell of antiseptic mixed with the faint sweetness of the cherry lollipop he had bought me on the way. You excited, Adrian? He had asked, smiling wide like it was the best day of our lives. Chocolate or vanilla today, kiddo? Or both. You can have both if you want. Both, I whispered, squeezing his fingers tighter, my heart beating fast with pure, unbreakable trust. Will it hurt, Dad? The thing they're going to do. He stopped walking for a second, looked me dead in the eyes, and lied without even blinking. No, son, it won't hurt at all. I'll be right here when you wake up. Promise. We'll get that ice cream right after. Just you and me. A nurse with a fake soft voice leaned over me later in the pre-op room. Count backward from 10, sweetheart. Think about that ice cream your dad promised. 10, 9, 8. I made it to 7. Then nothing but black. The black void of anesthesia lifted slowly, cruelly. When I finally opened my eyes, I couldn't feel the entire left side of my body. A thick bandage wrapped my ribs like a vice. Every breath was knives. I tried to sit up. Pain exploded. Deep, heavy, endless. They had taken my left kidney. They had taken part of my liver. From a child who still believed his father would keep his promise. The chart at the foot of my bed read, segmental extraction complete. Subject stable. Value, medium. No one came. Not the first night. Not the second. Not for 7 straight days. I stared at that door every single time it opened. My heart would leap. It's him. He kept his promise. He's here for the ice cream. But it was only nurses with tired eyes, and doctors who never looked at me like I was a real boy. I learned to stand again by gripping the cold bed rails until my knuckles bled. I learned to walk again by counting ceiling tiles, because the pain was so bad I couldn't think about anything else. 1 tile, 2 tiles, 3 tiles. Fall. Get up. Count again. No father. No mother. No phone calls. No cards. No. Im suri. Just the endless beep of monitors, and the quiet, crushing realization that I had been sold and thrown away like a broken toy. That was the moment the boy inside me died for good. Social services declared me a ward of the state. No relatives claimed me. I was medium value, useful enough to keep alive, but not valuable enough to love. So I turned the only thing I had left into a weapon. While other children cried for their parents, I stole medical textbooks from the nurse's station and read them under the sheets by the glow of monitor lights. I memorized every drug, every procedure, every rule of triage. At 9 years old, I changed my last name to Voss, the surname of the only doctor who had ever looked at me like I was more than spare parts. At 12, I finished high school. At 14, I started pre-med on a full scholarship. I worked nights in the hospital laundry, mopped floors, cleaned operating rooms, anything to stay inside these walls and learn. Medical school at 17, top of my class. Residency at 19. I published my first paper at 21 on ethical triage algorithms that would later become the foundation of the Voss protocol. I built the system in the same pediatric bed where I once counted ceiling tiles. I built it so no child would ever be worth more dead than alive. I built it so no desperate parent could sell their own blood and walk away clean. By 28, I was director of priority clearance and triage, the youngest in the hospital's history, the man who decided who lived and who waited. I never forgot the $87,000. Years later, once I had access to the full system, I looked him up. Daniel Reyes had spent every cent, first on gambling debts, then on a flashy used car, then on a new wife. A woman 10 years younger who gave him 2 more children, a boy and a girl, both healthy, both kept. He never came back for me, never checked if I was alive, never once tried to find the son he sold. He built a new life on the pieces he carved out of me. And now, 15 years later, that same man laid downstairs in my hospital, dying. The decision was already made. I blinked hard, back in the present. The scar on my side still burned, but my hands were steady. I was no longer the boy they left behind. I was Dr. Adrian Voss, and tonight the system I built would finally finish what he started. They brought him in 10 minutes later, not to surgery, not to pre-op, to my private consultation room on the top floor, the one with the heavy oak door and the wall of windows overlooking the city lights. 2 orderlies wheeled him in slowly. He looked smaller than the man in the photo, gray skin stretched tight over sharp cheekbones. Tubes snaked from his arms. His eyes, those same eyes that once lied to an 8-year-old boy, were dull with pain and fear. "Doctor," he rasped. "They said there's been a delay." I need that surgery now. Please. I don't have much time. I stood behind my desk, hands clasped in front of me, white coat perfectly pressed. The surgery you're begging for? I said quietly. It's no longer approved. His face twisted in panic. The monitors beside him spiked. That's not possible. I paid what I could. The family is sending more money. You can't just deny a priority case. It is possible. I picked up the tablet and turned it toward him. The old Guardian authorization form filled the screen. His signature, sloppy, impatient, sat at the bottom like a death warrant. At first confusion, then slow, sick recognition, then raw defensive anger. That was years ago, he whispered. I was drowning in debt, gambling. Your mother had already left. I had nothing left to sell except my son. It was non-lethal. They told me he'd be fine. What the hell does some old paperwork from 15 years ago have to do with my surgery right now? He tried to sit up straighter, pain flashing across his face. I had every right as his guardian. Why are you even bringing this up? Just to prove the damn surgery. I stepped around the desk, close enough that he could see the faint scar along my jaw. I was 8, I said. The air in the room changed. Heavy, thick. You told me we were getting ice cream. You held my small hand the whole way here. I asked if it would hurt. You looked me in the eyes and said no. His lips trembled. The anger on his face froze, then cracked. I waited by that door for 7 straight days. Every time it opened, my heart would jump. I thought it was you coming back for me, coming back with chocolate and vanilla. It never was. He stared at me, really stared, as if seeing the 8-year-old boy trapped inside the man standing in front of him. Adrian, he whispered, voice breaking. I'm what you left behind, I said. The leftover boy they didn't need anymore. The boy you sold for $87,000. And now the man who decides whether you live or die is standing right in front of you. His face crumpled completely. I thought you'd be okay. They said it was non-lethal. I was going to come back. I swear I was going to come back. You build a whole new family, I continued, voice steady as steel, on the pieces you carved out of me. The flashy car, the new wife, the 2 healthy children you kept, a boy and a girl, both still alive, both still loved. Tears spilled down his ruined face. Please, Adrian. I'm your father. I'm dying. That surgery is my only chance. I'll do anything. Anything at all. I looked straight into the eyes that once promised me ice cream and never delivered. You stopped being my father the day you signed that paper. I straightened up, adjusted my cuff. The surgery is denied. Permanently. He started to cry. Real ugly tears that shook his whole frail body. I turned to the orderlies. Take him back to General Ward. No priority. No exceptions. As they wheeled him out, his broken voice followed me. Adrian, please, I'm sorry. I didn't answer. The door clicked shut. The room was silent again. But inside my chest, the 8-year-old boy was finally screaming the word he never got to say 15 years ago. No. The orderlies paused at the door. But the man in the wheelchair wasn't finished. He lunged forward as far as the tubes allowed, eyes wild with desperation. Adrian, wait. Please. Don't do this. His voice cracked. I'll do anything. Anything you want. I'll sign any confession. I'll go on television and tell the world what I did. I'll leave my new wife. I'll never see my other kids again. Just to prove the surgery. I looked at him. Felt nothing but the old scar burning hotter. A cold smirk tugged at my mouth. Selfish as always. You left me for your own selfish reasons back then. Now you're ready to abandon them for another selfish reason. Say, man, different excuses. His face twisted in shame and panic. I stepped closer, voice dropping to a whisper that cut like glass. And now you're here, begging the boy you threw away to save the man who threw him away. He broke completely. Sobs tore out of him. Deep, ugly, desperate. Adrian, please. I was wrong. I was so wrong. I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you. Just don't let me die like this. I'm begging you. I looked straight into the eyes that once promised me ice cream and never delivered. You stopped being my father the day you signed that paper and walked out those doors. I turned to the orderlies. Take him back to General Ward. No priority. No exceptions. No visitors. He started sobbing openly. raw, broken sounds that filled the room. Adrian, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please don't do this to me. I love you. The orderlies wheeled him out. His broken voice echoed down the hallway until the heavy oak door clicked shut. Silence returned. I stood alone in the consultation room, staring at the empty space where my father had just begged for his life. The scar on my left side finally felt a little lighter, because for the first time in 15 years, the 8-year-old boy who waited by that door had finally gotten the answer he deserved. No. They moved him to the general ward at 6:42 p.m. No private room, no priority bed, no special medications, no kind nurse to hold his hand. Just another fading name on a crowded board, in a long, dimly lit hallway that smelled of bleach and quiet despair. I watched his vitals from my office on the top floor. The monitors glowed on my screen like distant stars. I could have turned them off. I didn't. Time stretched like old pain. In the general ward, Daniel Reyes lay on the thin mattress, staring at the same ceiling tiles I once counted for hours. His breathing grew shallow. His eyes were open, but far away. He reached for the small notepad a kind nurse had left. He wanted to write. He needed to write. The letter poured out of him in shaky, desperate handwriting. The pen slipped from his fingers. The note lay on his chest. He stared at the ceiling again. Tears blurred the tiles. 9:12 p.m., vitals unstable. 9:47 p.m., critical. 10:03 p.m., time of death. I read the notification on my screen. A single line. Clinical. Final. I deleted it. 10 minutes later, there was a soft knock on my office door. Nurse Ramirez stood there, eyes uncertain, holding a folded piece of notepaper. Dr. Voss, the patient in general ward. Daniel Reyes, he passed. We found this on his chest. It's addressed to you. She placed the letter on my desk and left without another word. I stared at the paper for a long time before I picked it up. The shaky handwriting, the broken sentences, the desperate apology. I unfolded it slowly and began to read. Adrian, I don't have much time, so I'm writing everything I should have said years ago. I know I can't undo what I did. I sold my own son for money. I told myself it was non-lethal. I told myself he would be fine. I told myself I would come back richer and fix everything. But I never did. I blamed you for your mother leaving. I convinced myself you reminded me too much of her. I was weak. I was selfish. I was a coward. I threw away the one person who never left me, and I built a new life on top of the pieces I took from you. I'm so sorry. I was stupid and weak and selfish. If I could go back, I would hold your hand and never let go. I love you. I always did. Forgive me if you can. Your father, Daniel. I read every word. Twice. The guilt, the excuses, the self-hatred, the final useless plea for forgiveness. For the first time, I understood exactly why he had done it. And still I felt nothing but the cold, steady burn of the scar beneath my coat. I folded the letter neatly and slipped it into the inside pocket of my white coat, right over the place where the scar still lived. Then I poured myself a glass of water. My hands didn't shake. The boy who once waited by that door had finally closed it for good.